Hi, this is Rachel Ley, the Princess of Perfection, and this is the Fan View Podcast.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Fans View Podcast. Today's guest may be the most athletic guest yet. She's tearing it up on the independent scene and for, I believe, OVW. Since her first exposure to wrestling back in 2023, please welcome on former Rutgers gymnast turned professional wrestler, Princess of Perfection herself, Rachel Ley. Rachel, how are you doing tonight?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I am so good. I got to tell you, I think you are my first Rutgers alum, and I couldn't be more excited as a Jersey kid.
Go Scarlet Knights.
That's right. Keep chopping. I like it. I want to talk about, before we get into the professional wrestling side of things, obviously you were a pretty accomplished college gymnast. Is it safe to say gymnastics was your first love?
Yes, for sure. I did it. I started gymnastics when I was like 4, and it was really the only sport I did besides like dance, but that was kind of incorporated with gymnastics. So it was the only thing I knew for like the first 18 years of my life, essentially. Well, 18 of the 22 years.
I saw you initially signed when you went to college with Mizzou. What kind of led to that, starting in Mizzou but ending up at Rutgers?
There was a lot of false advertisement in the recruiting process. That's all I'll say.
No, not in the SEC. How dare you?
Love the school. Love the school. I still have a lot of friends that I talk to from Mizzou, but yeah, Rutgers was a better school for me in the end.
I gotcha. And I saw in my research you primarily worked the uneven bars at Rutgers. Was that your forte during your college
that
years?
was my specialty. I mean, we trained all the events, but I essentially competed bars the most. Did floor like a handful of times.
Okay. I saw also in my research, unfortunately, that you were kind of forced to medically retire towards the end of your career.
Yeah.
What I guess kind of, what happened? What was the last straw? What injury was the last straw?
Blew out my knee on the balance beam.
That'll do it.
Yeah. And COVID hit, and so it was like we didn't really know what was going to happen, so didn't even like attempt to go for a 5th year just because we had no uncertainty with what the world was going through at that time.
Yeah, especially up there in the Northeast and the tri-state area with, New York City and stuff getting hit so hard. That makes a lot of sense. Was being a gymnast all your life, was the Olympic team a goal of yours, during that time period in your life? Was that something that you were striving towards?
So like when in gymnastics terms, you choose pretty young if you want to go like the Olympic route or the college route. Nowadays you can kind of do both because the NIL rules, name, image, and likeness. You can make money off of yourself in college now. But at that time, you couldn't be like a professional athlete, take sponsorships, and get a scholarship to college. So you kind of had to choose one or the other. While gymnastics is a very niche sport and not a lot of people do it, the Olympic team is only like 4 to 6 people. The odds are not in your favor.
For sure, absolutely. I also saw that, aside from your gymnast career, you were heavily involved, especially in college, I believe, in ROTC and nursing. What was the plan coming out of college had wrestling not popped up? Would we be talking to nurse Rachel right now? Or private Rachel? I don't know.
Well, I blew out my knee, so that kind of took out the military, the doctors there wouldn't approve me to continue.
Was
Um,
that was something that was on the table though? Was military service?
it was just my whole family went to West Point, so it was kind of I wouldn't say expected of myself, but I knew it was something that like to keep the family tradition going. So,
I got you.
um yeah, regardless my contract ended last year. So like I probably would have gotten out last year anyways.
Okay.
I don't think I would have continued because I would have been an officer. I wouldn't be re-enlisting.
Right.
And then nursing school, I dropped out. Again,
Well,
it was
kayfabe
during
it.
COVID. It was during COVID, and we were the guinea pig cohort. They had never done anything fully online because of COVID.
Right.
So, like 65% of the cohort failed out. I didn't fail. I will pull up my grades for that. I just realized that it like wasn't something I wanted to do anymore. I got to do clinicals, a few, which I shouldn't have been doing with COVID and everything.
Right.
There was a lot of stuff that was not good. That they were just kind of throwing us in, and we were like, yeah, we could see you for this. But regardless, I got into bedside nursing, and I was like, yeah, I'd rather deal with them knocked out.
Fair enough.
So I
Fair
was like,
enough.
well, OR nursing. And then I was just like, well, I don't know, man. I went into medical sales after that. I had a job offer me and more than what a nurse makes. And now I do tech sales. So, I don't even use my degree.
Nothing spoken like so many college graduates. God
Yep.
bless it.
So,
Um, to kind of pivot to your wrestling career, you had a tryout in Detroit during SummerSlam weekend in I
yeah.
believe 2023. First of all, how did that opportunity come about, and what was that experience like?
Yeah. So, because of my athletic background, WWE recruit reached out. Um, and was like, hey, we do these tryouts. This is what we are. If you'd be interested, like shoot us a reply and we can get a Zoom call going and give you the details. So I was like, okay, cool. Um, like I didn't really know anything about it. I mean, I knew what the WWE was, but didn't really know what to expect. And I was like, okay, cool. This seems like a lot of fun. Could be a cool option. I always wanted to be a stunt double, so like I was like, okay, that's essentially what this is.
Yeah.
So let's go try it out. And I fell in love with it during that week. Obviously, I didn't really know what to expect. They don't tell you too much, and I had no resources to prepare.
Right.
Didn't know anyone in the business, so like, I had no clue what to prepare for, and like, no amount of cardio you can do is in comparison to ring cardio. So,
Absolutely.
um, yeah, so a lot of promos, a lot of cardio, a lot of just like rolls and stuff like that. Sorry, my animals are going at it. But yeah, loved it and didn't get a contract, but that's okay. So we're taking the long route to get there.
Yeah, and that's a perfect segue because that was my next question is obviously you went in not knowing what to expect, not really, being in love with pro wrestling, but like you said during that tryouts when you did fall in love with pro wrestling. So, what was it like to not get that call?
Well, I mean, I did get a call, but it was just a no. um, I mean, I was kind of like upset because I really thought that I did well on the promos. But I understand like you have to have something that makes you stand out. And I think at that time I just didn't know because I didn't have the knowledge of the sport.
Right.
So like, yeah, I'm a gymnast. Okay. There were 6 other gymnasts there. What makes me different than the rest of them? There's gymnasts on the roster now. What makes me different than them? Like it's just like trying to find that one like niche thing.
Right.
and market that.
So since the tryout, obviously it didn't work out yet with WWE. You've been getting matches under your belt on the independent circuit, and you seem to have found a home in OVW. Can you talk a little bit about how that OVW opportunity kind of came along?
Yeah, so I was going to OVW to watch my friend debut. His name's Brandon Davis. And I was transitioning between jobs, so I was in that 2 week like period where you're just you like, hey,
Sitting at
can I
home.
have my 2 weeks? And they're like, yeah,
Yeah.
you can leave, but we'll still pay you. And I was like, okay, bye. And so he drives an electric car, and his car wouldn't make it from Nashville to Louisville and back on one charge. So he was gonna rent a car, and I was like, we can just drive my car. I don't care. Like, whatever. It's 2.5 hours, and it saves you $100. So we drove my car up there, and I happened to have my gear in the trunk because I just worked like an extra event, like SmackDown or something. I don't know.
Right.
And so walked into OVW. He went and said hello to the creative and everything. I kind of just stood there. Again, like I don't really know. I don't know. I didn't know what OVW was. Everyone kept saying it was a big deal, and I was like, okay. Because like I just didn't grow up watching wrestling. Like
Right.
a promotion's a promotion in my head. And they're like, oh well, it's live TV. I'm like, okay, doesn't make a
That's
difference to me. I'm still gonna perform the same. But regardless, I was sitting in the stands, and then Brandon came up to me and was like, do you have your gear? And I was like, yeah, it's in the trunk. Why? And he was like, oh, Al Snow wants to talk to you. So I went into creative. Al was like, do you want an opportunity? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, okay, how many matches have you done? And I was like, 2. And he was like, okay, let's put you on TV. I was like, okay.
sounds
So,
pro wrestling to me.
yeah, put me on TV. Simple match. I think the most difficult thing I did was a head scissors. Uh, wanted to see my selling, wanted to see my footwork, wanted to see how I could work the cameras. I guess I did it well enough. Uh, he was like, okay, we'll see you next week. And I was like, really? And he's like, yeah, see you every Thursday. And that's why I got on OVW. So,
That is so pro wrestling.
thanks to the electric car
Look at
that
that.
Brandon drives on OVW. This is where I
That's
got.
Hey, you. Yeah, watching this right now. I see you. If you're enjoying what you're watching, I've got one quick favor to ask, and it only takes a second, costs you nothing, and makes a huge difference. If you could go ahead and hit that like button, maybe drop a comment. If you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed. Doesn't seem like much, but for small creators, it's everything. So let's help more people find this channel and keep the content coming. And honestly, I'm pretty sure the podcast will be really grateful. So if you're having fun, you like what you see, make it official, click those buttons, and the Fans View podcast, we'll see you next time.
This is where
that's fair.
I've gotten most of my reps. I now live in Orlando, so I'm not currently on OVW anymore. But whenever I have the time and availability to like go back, I'll I'll do a show or two.
For sure.
Yeah, they're great there. Everyone was so nice. Um, the staff, the girls, the guys, everyone was great. They helped me with a lot just because I am still super, super green.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't have a wrestling background. So, like I said, I can't like think of stuff. Oh, let's do this. I don't know. I watch wrestling now. Like I do. I watch it a lot. I don't I don't want to say I don't retain it, but like I try and sit there. I'm like, okay, that's a good move, and I'll videotape it. But like when I'm trying to plan something with 3 other people, I'm like, let me pull up my phone. I don't know what it's called. I'll
Right.
just feel like it's this, and they're like, what are you trying to explain to me? And then I show them, and they're like, oh, that, and I'm like, I don't know, man. Like that's been my biggest issue is just I don't know the names of stuff.
Right.
So
Right. It's not something you can rush there. That's just going to have to come with time.
Yeah.
How beneficial was it though? You said you got a lot of reps at OVW and got along well with the people there. How beneficial did you find it to work under someone who, whether you knew it or not at the time, was so knowledgeable in professional wrestling like Al Snow is?
I mean, it was pretty cool. I went and watched the Netflix series. Literally, we were driving home from that first day, and Brandon was like, "Go watch the series so you know what's going on," because he looked like a deer in headlights. And I was like, "Okay." So I went and watched the series like all the way through. Did not stop. I stayed up till like 4 in the morning watching it so I could know like what was going on. So yeah, it's great. He's a great guy. He is a character. Sometimes I'm like, I don't know if you're joking or not.
That dry sense of humor.
Yep. And so sometimes it just goes over my head, and sometimes he just like he'll look at me and be like, Rachel, and I'm like, glazed eyes. I don't know, Al. I don't.
He's, luckily for you, he's so patient. He's
I know.
probably
He'll
one of the
ask me a
best
question and
teachers.
I'll be like, if you expect me to answer this, it's gonna be wrong.
Oh my goodness. Poor Al Snow. One of the best teachers in pro wrestling though. So
He's a great guy though. Love him.
for people that have been living under a rock and don't know who you are yet, how would you describe yourself both in and out of the ring? Like, who is the Princess of Perfection? Who is Rachel Ley?
So my character is like a memento to my gymnastics career. So like the Princess of Perfection, perfect time, type of thing. Like everything's clean and crisp and pretty and like ooh, sparkly, cutesy, girly girl, whatever. Like Polly Pocket, Barbie. Ah.
Love that.
But like
The Polly Pocket of pro wrestling.
yeah, but like me as an individual, I'm like a super introverted person. Like I have my bookshelf. Oi. I read a lot of books. I have another bookshelf on the other side. Like I read 100 books last year. I love just being alone and doing my own thing. So like I can turn it on for like the performance aspect, but like if you know me, you know I'm like this chill, like I wouldn't say loner because I do like to go out, but I don't know. Like people are like, you're like yourself in the ring. I'm like, trust me, I'm not. That's not me. Like that's not me at all. That's me really trying like to be like that's like me at like 100,000. And they're like, well, it doesn't seem like it. And I'm like, well, that's because you don't know me.
I love that. One thing I wanted to ask you, because when I first saw you, I have to admit, I kind of made the comparison. Given your background in gymnastics, given your time spent in the state of New Jersey, it's unavoidable that you're going to be compared to Casey Catanzaro. How often do you get that comparison, and how do you feel about it?
I've never gotten that.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Color me shocked.
Yeah, I've
Because
never gotten
you
that. I've gotten Tiffany Stratton, which I don't look anything like her, but it's because I do gymnastics. And then I got told one time I looked like Roxanne Perez.
okay?
I was
Hey,
like, sir, you might need some glasses.
hey, maybe I'm the only one that sees it, but I definitely see a little Casey Catanzaro Katana Chance in your ring style, and that's not a bad thing. I mean, she was
Yeah.
at the highest level, so
Yeah.
it's certainly a compliment. You're still so young in your career, obviously, so I'm sure you enjoy working with everyone still. But is there anyone that you've stepped into the ring with that really stands out as like just a very enjoyable experience?
I mean, like I have like I've worked like a couple people a couple times now, so I know like what they kind of do match wise.
Right.
But I don't know.
Is there anyone that's been easier to work with than others, maybe?
I mean, I've worked Freya like 5 times. So like I know her shit and she knows mine. So like working her isn't that hard and she's a good base. So
There you go. We'll
I
take
think
that.
she's the person I've worked the most.
Okay. Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
take that for sure. Speaking of your relatively new wrestling career, how difficult have you found it to balance professional wrestling with the real world. Oh, shoot, job, friends, God forbid, like a relationship. How difficult is it to kind of balance your time between those two things?
I don't really find it that difficult. I mean, like in gymnastics, we had practice 5 days, or 5 hours a day, 6 days a week. In college, it was limited to that because of the Title IX, but you still had school. So it's just like learning to multitask. I think it's honestly the same. It's like my work is my school and then wrestling is my sport. So you just go to school and then go to your sport. That's the way I compartmentalize stuff. I just moved to Orlando, so I don't have any like non-wrestling friends right now. All the friends I have like are at the PC and stuff.
Right.
Um But like when I was living in Nashville, I had my handful of friends that knew nothing about wrestling, and I made time for them. And I have a part-time job on top of it. So,
A multitasker at her best. I
yeah.
appreciate that. As 2025 starts to wind down, and 2026 is just on the horizon, do you have any goals still left on your short list that you want to get checked off before the end of the year? Wrestling
Um
related.
Wrestling really, I mean, getting to wrestle for AEW and TNA would be
Okay. I,
great.
I love that. I'd
And
love
then
to see that.
obviously getting a contract. The
For sure. For sure. We need
sooner the
we need
better.
Rachel on our TV, damn it.
The sooner the better.
Um and as we start to wind this thing down, my two favorite questions always come at the end. The first one being, obviously, you've kind of given us a little bit of a glimpse into it, is this is the Fans View podcast, so I have to ask, what are you a fan of outside of professional wrestling?
Oh, yeah, like I like to read. I read a lot. I'm currently reading The Silent Patient. Bailey Humphrey on LFG recommended it to me because she's like, all I read is true crime and like murder mysteries, and I need someone to talk to about it. And I was like, well, I don't really read a lot of that, but I've read some Frida McFadden, so I'll try it out. So I just started it a couple days ago. I'm only 4 chapters in though. I need to read a little faster. I usually read when I go to the gym, but I forgot to bring my Kindle with me today, so I was just sitting in the sauna, like twiddling my thumbs. Yeah, so currently reading The Silent Patient. Don't know who the author is. It's on my Kindle, so I don't pay attention to that. Bailey Humphrey recommended it, so.
Okay. All right. I love that. And last but not least, the final question is, obviously, you're a very young woman. You're also very green and young in the business. What at this point of your life and career do you consider success?
I mean, I think just the way that I grew up is your goals aren't fulfilled until you get to the top. So, like, with gymnastics, my goal in gymnastics, like, it never really was to go to the Olympics. It was like, okay, I want to get a college scholarship and compete for my university, get a degree. Okay, so I did that. I mean, there were times where I wanted to quit gymnastics, but in the end, I knew like I wasn't going to quit until I achieved my goals. So I was able to do that. Picked up this sport, pro wrestling, and my goal is to make it a full-time career. So in whatever avenue it takes to get there, I will do that, and I will make it a full-time career for as long as I physically can.
I love that
So
answer.
that's success.
I love that answer. I appreciate that. Rachel, this has been so much fun having you on. Hopefully, it's the first of many appearances on the show. Where can people get a hold of you on social media?
Yeah, so all mine are different. So my Instagram is Rachel_Ley. So like the potato chip, but it's not spelled like the potato chip. And then Twitter or X is Rachel Ley 98. And then TikTok is Ray_Ley. So RAE_LEY. So yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, guys, make sure if you're at a show that Rachel's on, go show her some support, buy some merch, spend a little money. If you're not at a show, make sure to check her out when she's in town for OVW or on social media, TikTok, social media, Instagram, Twitter, X, whatever the hell you want to call it. It's all free. Following is free. Subscribing is free. Like I said, Rachel, we want to thank you for coming on. Hopefully we can have you on again. Guys, make sure to go show her some love. She's got dog treats to buy. Go buy some merch. And most importantly, guys, don't forget, make sure to call your mom.
If you haven't liked or subscribed, you're going to be joking me.